podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Starts with a save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest. Hudson-Odoi has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hello, welcome back to Red Side of the Trent as we review the 2-2 draw versus Manchester United. Unfortunately, a last 5-minute goal from Amad Diallo sealed a 2-2 draw and a goal line clearance from Murillo. And if you've not seen it, identical to last season, which is bizarre. Delighted to be joined by Lee Clark and Reese Lane. Lee, I'll start with yourself. How are you?
Yeah, all good. We've not been beaten, so that's something to be positive about, I suppose.
Yes, and I'm eager to turn your frown upside down because there's more to life than just football, I guess. But Reese, how are you as well?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. Are you positive going into Graz? Obviously, you're travelling as on behalf of the pod. Oh, Christian will be there as well, actually.
Yeah.
Are you
I'm not positive in the sense that obviously I've done this budget trip, haven't I? So I am concerned about the timings and that, but it's all part of the experience, isn't it? I guess.
I know. I hope you record your journey, because that will be a story for when you come back, obviously, to tell about if there's any sort of crazy things happening on trains and whatnot. But I'm sure you'll enjoy your time. I'm sure you'll enjoy your time. We'll talk about it later on. But Lee, I'll start with yourself. It's I think it's safe to say it's an unchanged side for a third game week in a row, or third game in a row, should I say? Obviously, Savona came in for Zinchenko, which was forced, but he's kept the pretty much same 10 out of 11 with Savona now in that. What did you make of that team? Did you ever expect any changes for this week?
No, not really. I think one stick we used to beat Andrew with was the fact that he made far too many changes far too often. So yeah, it is quite nice that we do seem to be establishing what our best 11 is. Obviously, with Louise injured now, that might change for Thursday and obviously going forward into the next international break. But I wasn't overly surprised. I think that is the team that I think in the pub before the game when the team came through, everyone was pretty satisfied with that team, to be honest. So, yeah, I don't mind it at all. I think the midfield is the area of that's open for debate, I suppose, isn't it? Some people like Sangare, some people want Dominguez to come back in. Obviously, Dominguez wasn't even in the squad yesterday. So that's the one area where I think there is kind of a bit of a discussion to be had. But yeah, I think the team that we played yesterday, if that was our team going forward for the next 5-6 games to get a bit of continuity and try and look a little bit less disjointed, then I don't think anyone would have too many issues, to be fair.
Yeah. Reece, I think the game started quite tetchy. I think that would be fair to say. Both teams are trying to figure each other out. But an early injury to Douglas Luiz and Ryan Yates came on, much to my disgruntlement. As people will know, I'm not a massive Ryan Yates fan. Do I want him to do well in a Forest shirt? Absolutely. Do I think he's the best footballer? No. But I will get onto a point where I actually thought he played really well yesterday. But what worries you about that? Because obviously Douglas Luiz has struggled for fitness since he's come to the club. He struggled for fitness at Juventus as well. It was a well-known fact. So does that concern you going forward now?
Well, yeah, it is a concern, and it was a concern from the summer, really, when we was chasing him, his fitness issues, because, the deal was done later on in the window, wasn't it? So he's not had a proper pre-season. You're seeing that with Isak at Liverpool as a prime example, and you're talking £120 million footballer there who just looks well off the pace because he's not had that full pre-season. When Luiz has played, I think he's been really good. You can see his quality, but as good as he is, it's no good having a player who can only probably play a third of your games every season. That's no good to nobody. I think it looked like a hamstring issue, didn't it? He was holding his hamstring. So if he obviously has tweaked that, we're not going to see him this week, are we? It's going to be another international break. And it's a shame, really, that in that international break, he's not probably going to be able to get his fitness up because he's going to be recovering from injury. So, yeah, it is a shame. Again, I do agree with you. I thought Yates, who come on, did really well. So he's probably next in line with the. Obviously, it showed he's ahead of Sangare. You would think at the minute, showing by the subs. Dominguez is a difficult one, rather than, I'm not going to say strange one, because he again's had no pre-season. Now fully fit Nico Dominguez, I think would be right there probably to that next spot. But because he's not had that pre-season, we're coming from a nasty injury, he's probably behind schedule. So, it's a blow, but we have got other centre mids at least. We've got 3 queuing up. You've also could chuck, if you was really desperate, you could move Gibbs White back. McAtee can fill in there. So we've got options. It's just a shame that, Louise was one of probably the, marquee signings, I guess, of the summer, and now he's injured again.
Yeah, that is a shame, massive shame as well. And I think the one positive I would take is he walked off the field, and I think with a hamstring, if you walk off, it's not as bad as it could be, but it's still a bad one.
Yeah, I think he's just felt it, Ante, and we've all played football. If you feel your hamstring tweak, you're thinking, "Oh Jesus, if I especially we've never played Premier League level, but the intensity of the Prem, if you overstretch, it's just going to go, isn't it?" So he probably did the right thing.
Well, fans of Serie A would have seen Kevin De Bruyne take a penalty and immediately pop his hamstring as he scored. So,
Well, I mean, we all saw Dominguez look completely do his hamstring last season against Man City, and then miraculously, next minute, he was diving into challenges. So,
a tackle for Dominguez is like the magic sponge. So we all know that. But Lee, this is obviously it's brilliant to have you on as a referee. Our linesman has gave a corner kick. I mean, this is the second week in a row, and I forgive the referee last week because double ricochet happens so fast. Sometimes you miss it. Fair enough. But a linesman flagging for a corner where he's got to see through 2 goalposts for one. He's on the opposite side of the pitch. He's got to see through a player, and he's gave that as a corner. Now, Forest have still got to defend the ball, and we failed to do so. But these decisions are costing us.
Didn't last week the referee overruled a linesman though?
That was it. Yes, he did. He did. Yeah, you're all right. But yeah, Lee, come on, one down.
Yeah, I mean, I always think, even at my level, I'd rather miss the corner. Miss a corner, nothing comes from it, happy days, rather than guess, and it lead to a goal. I just don't understand why. I get it. I get there's an element of human error. I'm not going to sit here and say that, because they paid a lot of money, they should get everything right. But it's just not good enough. Like, we were asking for VAR to come in and, there's an argument that VAR should be able to look at stuff if it does lead to a goal. But is it... Weirdly, I agree with Jamie O'Hara on TalkSPORT. I was listening to him on the way home, and it's very rare I agree with anything he says because he's put on shows in prime spots to get people talking and engaging. And are we wrong as football fans to expect people at the elite level to get easy decisions right? And I don't think we are. I think there's got to be more accountability for that stuff. And I was my head was on Mars when that happened because no one on the field even appeals that it's gone out. He's basically guessed. He's going through, like you just said, Adam, he's looking through 2 posts and Savona as well, essentially. And he's guessed. He's completely guessed. And like I say, I go back to my original point. You miss a corner there and you might get a player moan at you for 30 seconds. Oh, did that go out line? No, no worries. Let's get on with it. Leads to a goal. It is all of a sudden it's a talking point. So, yeah, and weirdly, I thought what was really interesting was when Anderson went to take the first corner in the second half, I think he purposely put the ball outside of the arc and, shock horror, he made him move it straight away. And I think it was just like I don't know, I felt it was a bit arrogant from the official. I just really, if that's Forest Leeds next week, he doesn't guess. I think because it's Man United, even if it's the other way around, I genuinely think he doesn't give us the corner. He gives the defensive team the benefit of the doubt. But let's play on. It's just not good enough. I try and defend them and I try and see what they've given and why they've given it in pressurized situations, but it's just not good enough. He'll get a game next week, I guarantee it, because he's one of the top officials. They like him, they rate him. He's had big finals, he's had playoff finals, and he'll get a game next week. And we're left to rue 2 dropped points because of his poor decision. Basically,
I think this is where I really want. I like VAR in some circumstances because it is trying to minimise poor errors, but I equally want a system where you can appeal a decision. Like Savona's convinced, he just says to the gaffer, like, let's throw a flag. I want to see it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that's it's another talking point. It's another thing for the future. I mean, I think they spoke about it on TalkSPORT yesterday with Max Rushton. I was listening to that, and I know they're testing it in, I think, some of the youth games in like some of their tournaments in the World Cup or whatever. They're testing it and stuff. So I'm intrigued to see what happens.
What is the point in having VAR if it's not going to get involved with match-changing situations like that? If it doesn't lead to anything, fine. It's one of them. Okay, it's wrong, but it's not led to anything. It's not cost any team any points, and as the season progresses, any financial gain. It's ridiculous. Why have we got it? Well, what is the point in having VAR? It just doesn't make any sense. If you can have the technology and have these people sat in a purpose-built building, watching the games, watching every different 19 camera angles or whatever it is they can look at, what is the point in having it if it's not going to get involved? It's the same little loophole that they've got with if it's a second yellow card, we can't look at it. Why? It's just ridiculous. It's like, I don't know. I just don't understand it. I don't understand. This sport is supposed to be £1 billion industry, and it's supposed to be the best sport in the world, the best league in the world, if you believe the hype that the Premier League has. And we're using VAR like buffoons. I just don't get it. I just don't understand what we're actually using it for. What's the point? What's the point of having it? May as well just take it all away.
Can I just add on it as well? Like, because let's be honest, the football fan wants less VAR. They do.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
You want the ball more in play, don't you?
Yeah, but the for something like that, is that because obviously I know we've conceded for it, and we'll come on to why we've conceded for it in a minute. But for something like that, maybe like a challenge system from a captain would be a decent idea, because it's not as, I know obviously they've gone and scored from it, but it's not as big a decision. But as well, we're in 2025 now. That don't need VAR. We can have chips and that in the ball to let you know it's gone out, like we've got for goal line technology. You know, we're in, all the technology we've got in this day and age. We probably don't even need VAR for that. Have things in the ball and that and stuff like that, chips in the ball we have. And
precisely, like weirdly, on that very same line, if it's between the posts, the watch vibrates, so it'll tell you. Why can't the same line?
Between the corner flags.
Like the one Lee mentioned, the yellow card. I mean, that's just utterly bizarre. That is something that can change overnight. Why is that not in place? Because that is a major decision. What changes a game? A second yellow card. I think it's baffling at times. It really.
I think it's worth putting on record that I was talking to a Leicester fan yesterday. They had a goal disallowed yesterday for offside, but the Leicester fan said to me, obviously they were in the Premier League last year. They've been in the Premier League a lot while we've had VAR, and he actually said to me, the replays look like it's onside, but it's still better than having VAR. And when it's a split-second decision, you have to accept that it's one of them that you'll talk about in the pub, but you move on because they haven't got the technology. That's the issue. Like people call Forest again because Forest are moaning at something that the referee's done. It's not that. It's wanting the standards to be better when there's technology there to help them. Can you imagine? I just can't imagine sitting like at my level. We sit in the dressing room afterwards. I think that might have been a corner. I think that might have gone out. I think it might have been a goal. I think it might have been offside. We get 50-ish a game, between 50 and 70 a game. It's by the by. A lot of the clubs respect that it's difficult what we do. These guys are getting paid a fortune, and they've got all the technology in the world to help them, and they still get it wrong. Again, I need to get my head back off Jupiter because it's baffling. I don't get it. I'm sick of talking about it.
The big major problem is Forest are still conceded from the set piece as well, Reece. I mean, Murillo gets sandwiched, and someone I think mentioned to me yesterday that we are man marking. I think if we're man marking, Casemiro doesn't get a leap like that, to be honest, and heads the ball in the goal. And whereas it's an irk for me that we don't have players on a post. Like player on a post just clears that.
Well, that's the point I'm going to come on to. The problem is for us in that situation, we obviously get hot-headed, which as a team, I understand, but we then lose concentration. We've got to basically look, the decision's wrong, fine, but it's gone. And then we've got to get into shape and get focused. And it's a simple ball, and Casemiro's not had to do anything to head that in. That's like Sunday League. He's literally stood there, and he's just literally guarded his head. He hasn't even, I don't think he's even jumped that high or he's moved. He just nodded it into the corner. And it's just like so basic. And when you was watching it in the ground, you was like, What an awful goal to concede that. It's just such a basic set piece. And something I must say, and this isn't Savona's fault at all, but last season we did this really well, was knowing about the post. Ola Aina, Southampton, Toffolo away at Spurs. Savona's at that front post marking nobody. So the ball's come in. He's then pulled away from the post. Stay with the post. He's got nobody to go to apart from just standing, marking anybody. Just read the game then. He will get with that with experience because he's a young lad, but just read the game then, stay on that post. Because that's the only way it can go. And it gets headed into that post. If he stays there, he clears it off the line. And it grinds my gears that teams don't have someone in them areas. And we did it last season expertly, and it saved us goals. Like I've just given you 2 examples, and that won us 4 points. Because Southampton would have equalised, would have dropped us 2 points. Tottenham would have equalised, would have dropped us 2 points. That's 4 points they won from basically players just managing the post. But it's far too easy, mate. Just really, really poor. And this, we just look from set pieces completely devoid of any confidence anymore. And
which is strange, isn't it?
Even and to be fair, mostly the goalkeeper, because he just looks. He's never been amazing in the ASLs at all, but last season you never watched him and thought, Jesus, I'm really worried from a set piece this season, mate. As saw by the one at the end, right at the end of the game, which Murillo cleared off the line, mate. He was flapping at it. That looked a simple catch to me, and he completely flapped at it, and that nearly cost us the game in the end.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just some comments come in. Gary Ball, Nerd Morning. Tom said that Sangare has to start the next 2, surely, because he thought that he should have come on for Yates, as we'll probably discuss a little bit later. And he also then said the linesman has guessed regarding that decision. There's no other reply to that opinion in regards to his position of 68 yards away from the incident. So, yeah. Lee, I thought, go on. Yeah, I saw you.
I was just going to say, can I just my final point on the whole decision and accountability and all that sort of stuff? At my level, I have people come in and say, I've seen the video and you got that one wrong. And there's nothing you can do. You watch it and, okay, I got it wrong. Fine, this is what it is. Why don't we as fans get to find out if that decision is right or not? If it is right, because obviously they get reports and they get told how many centimetres either way things are right and wrong. Why can't we get that in the main, like in the media and that sort of stuff? Why can't we, on this day there was a controversial decision, whether the ball went in or out. Why can't we find out whether he's actually got it right or wrong? Why are they so afraid to turn around to us and say, yeah, you got that wrong? And it cost us 2 points.
He has got it wrong. I know these idiots online because this is what the world we live in now, but he has got it wrong because the ball isn't out. Nah, the whole ball has to be out. Anyone who plays football knows that. Even if 1% of that ball is on the line, it's still in. And it is, and it's more than 1% in it. It's probably a 10, but it's still in. And end of discussion. That's why we have this, so we can't have margins of errors. We had this stupid a few years back when that Liverpool goal at Man City, if you can remember it, it was millimetres from being fully over, but it wasn't fully over, so it's not a goal. So there's just there's no argument on it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, moving on, I thought the team came out with a bit of a vendetta, Lee, and a great response because we've scored quite early on into the second half. I mean, we've struggled for goals. We scored 1 in the last 7 league games. I mean, you muted that in our group chat that because you were feeling a bit pessimistic about the game because we've not scored in open play for a long time. I mean, an unbelievable cross from Ryan Yates. I thought it was well worked, and Morgan Gibbs-White, who's had a lot of slack on this podcast in particular and online for his endeavours, I guess. Unbelievable header. I mean, we know how good he is in the air as well, actually. So it was a well-taken header and got us back in the game. Yeah,
it was great delivery as well. Yates was much better in the second half. I'm sure we'll come on to his performance as a whole. I thought he offered nothing in the first half when he first came on. But obviously, you give him a bit of credit for that because it is difficult to be, come into a game and when you don't expect to come on so early as a sub, do you, I suppose. So, it was great. Yeah, it was great delivery. I don't think we crossed the ball enough. I think whoever it is, as a collective, we've got to cross the ball and get it in the box. I actually thought United their big weakness is still at the back. The defensive unit hasn't changed a great deal from last season when they were very fragile. So, yeah, it was good to see us get the ball in the box. And I don't actually remember a time when we've scored 2 in such quick succession at home. ever. So it was great.
Villa at home last season, maybe?
Probably Villa, yeah, when we last come from behind.
I suppose so, yeah. But yeah, it was good to see. Good to see a bit of fight, a bit of heart. Like I say, I have been quite pessimistic because I've just not seen anything from the team this season, other than that 45 minutes at Brentford and arguably 20-25 minutes at Palace the game after. So yeah, it was nice to see a little bit of fight, which obviously does give us a bit of, something to build on going forward, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, following that,
I think that decision did help that as well, because I think immediately after that decision, you actually saw a bit of a response from us. We was kind of, because it got a bit scrappy, and I was saying to Emma, like, I can see a flashpoint here soon, because there was some like thunderous tackles going in. But what I must say as well, what I loved about that Yates cross is he actually put his foot on the ball. This is a player who, it's not his game. He actually put his foot on the ball, measured the cross. So many times I've watched Forest this season and last, we just hit and hope across, and it's just hit in the box, and it's hoped someone's on the end of it. He actually put his foot on the ball, looked up, measured it, and then Gibbs White's header's brilliant as well, right in the corner, no chance for the keeper. So it's just nice to see a player who, that isn't his game, like I said, actually do something what others should be doing.
Yeah. I mean, following on, Reece, Savona becomes our first Italian to score in our history. And I mean, credit to Odoi for getting the ball in the box. Credit for Igor Jesus for battling with the two centre halves to knock the ball down. And I mean, it's a great finish, to be fair, from the lad.
Yeah, first at home in the league, I had a look through to make sure I could get something out of it, because Salemzi did get a couple in the cup, and Nicolau Dimitri actually scored away in the league at Newcastle. Petracchi, Manini, Matricano, McKay, none of them scored because they were all crap. But yeah, moving on. Yeah, again, it's a good cross, and we get a bit of, I think it's Jesus who's putting himself about in there, and I thought he was brilliant in doing that yesterday. He was feeding off scraps, wanted the poor lad, but we kind of make his own luck, don't we? We it comes down and Savona gambles, and his first touch and finish is actually for a right back. Very good. I know it's close range, but he has to get the touch right. He could easily shank the finish, and yeah, he's put it in. And he was actually my man of the match yesterday, Savona. I actually thought that was by far his best game I've seen in a Forest shirt, and for him to get a goal, and for us to, because it's something like we've just discussed that we've not done enough. We've gone behind in games, and you're thinking, we said this in a group chat at half time, you're thinking, well, that's that. We're not going to come back from here. Man U are going to win this 1-0. And, we're left to ruin. Refereeing decisions cost us the game. So it was brilliant to see us come back from behind. I know, obviously, we've not held out. And, yeah, just actually in that moment when we've got a team on the ropes, as United was at that stage, just take his chance. So, yeah, just great to see that we've actually got some fight in the belly, and we've come from behind. And actually as well, I'll praise Sean Dyche here, because I've been sick to death of seeing us come out second half, especially under the previous manager, and absolutely totally toss it off. So it was nice to come out and actually see a team up for it and get ourselves back in the game.
I think that's something that you can always expect from a Sean Dyche team, that players are going to get fired up in one way or another. He's got that passion in him. I think that's safe to say. So it's just whether players go out and produce, basically, I guess. But I thought second, like that those two goals, Lee, came quite quick, and I felt like it was a long way to go to hold on to that. And I thought Man United were probing and pressing, but not really like doing too much. There was a few iffy moments, but and Hudson-Odoi put one wide of the post. There was a potential penalty shout, which I think would have potentially been harsh having looked back at it. But the strike for the equaliser, I mean, we make a hash of it from another corner of getting rid of it. Like Milenkovic, I don't know if he can head it anywhere else, but he heads it back into danger, really. And it's a terrific strike from Amad Diallo. I take nothing away from it, but I just felt like we could have done something more to prevent it, to be honest, because I didn't think Man United were creating anything other than like half chances at best.
Yeah, I mean, don't think Milenkovic can do anything else, really. I suppose he could head it wide, but he does clear it. It's a pretty good defensive header. I think Hudson-Odoi's got to do more. He's the one that's on the edge of the box. I think he's got to just do something. And do you know what? Weirdly, I thought Hudson-Odoi defensively yesterday was really good. He made a couple of really good blocks, but the one that we needed him to just make a really good block again, I don't know whether he was a bit tired. I'm not sure. Whether he didn't expect him to hit the target from there. I don't know. I don't know if it's harsh, but if you look where Milenkovic heads the ball from, could the keeper come and get that off him? Possibly. I don't know if that's just kind of beating him, kicking a man while he's down in cells, because obviously he's not been great this season. I don't know.
We know that ain't going to happen, though, do we? He
That's what I
doesn't
mean.
come out and catch the ball. He just doesn't do
it. He's never been great at that.
No,
I don't think that's a new thing. I don't think that's a new thing.
Agree.
Yeah, like I say, I don't want to overanalyze it, I guess, because it is a good strike ultimately. I just think when your chips are down and you're near the bottom of the table, I think last season when we were up near the top, I think we had that and it just gets cleared away. Or it goes to him on his weak foot, for example. I just think when your chips are down, it goes to him and it's on the volley. One of the most technically gifted players on the pitch yesterday, he rifles it into the bottom corner. So, yeah, disappointing. I think if you're asking me for where I think the blame lies, it's probably got to go with Hudson-Odoi. I think he's got to do more to stop that shot coming in, I think.
Yeah, tough one. And then obviously we've just got to speak about Murillo's goal line clearance, Reece, because Sells has put us in a bit of bother, but Murillo on the spot, kind of, it's something that he was very good. He's been very good at since he's come to Forest, anticipating that there's where the danger is and gets himself in the right place at the right time and earns us a point at the end of the day. I don't know if you would agree that maybe a point was a fair result at the end of it, but I think it's a good starting block for Sean Dyche after last week against Bournemouth, I think.
Yeah, well, that chance comes from, and it's something what teams are targeting, the back post area. The corners are whipped to the back post. We saw Newcastle do it the other week, and they had 3 headers there. So it's a clear target from sides. Get the ball to that back post, because I think it's Delite who heads it back across. And then obviously Sells is just scrambling, and because he just looks shot. His confidence does, bless him. Like I looked. We've not even mentioned it, but the Bruno Fernandes one, what hit the post, that is an absolute P-roller. Yeah. That nearly went, and that beat him.
He dived ready. He dived like after the board gone past him.
Yeah, because he just didn't adjust his feet quick enough, mate. Like last season, that'd have been meat and drink. But it's just confidence. It just looks so shot. I mean, someone mentioned this on Facebook on a reply. I'm guessing Wayne Hennessy's left now, hasn't he?
He's a coach. I think he's a coach. Or has he left as a coach?
Because I thought he might have gone under Nuno.
Yeah, he might well have done.
Because obviously we all saw in the summer, didn't we, that that great relationship they had, that bond between, and we saw this when we had Doris de Vries on the party. He emphasised how good his bond was with Steve Sutton at Forest. So obviously, if Ange just brought in a coach and he's obviously not got on with him, now we've got another coach who's just come in, who's really highly rated because he's worked with the likes of Pope and Sir Jordan Pickford and Tom Heaton, obviously. So, but his just confidence just looks gone. He completely flapped at that, didn't he? And I think it is Diallo who strikes it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he strikes it really well again. And Murillo's there, thankfully. And that saved us a point yesterday because that's in the bottom corner. And that's what I'm meaning about, just like I said, with Savona really reading the game. Shot's going to come in. Where's Murillo? Murillo thinks straight away, right, I'm going to position myself on the line because if it goes by the keeper, I'm there to clear it. And he saves it. That saved us a point, that. Yeah. But, it's a tough one with Sells. And I don't want to see him dropped because what I saw of John Victor in that Swansea game didn't fill me with confidence as well, I must say. But, he is as well a Brazil international. So you could make the argument there that we actually have brought in competition for him because he's a Brazil international. He's in their third choice, I believe, in the last squad. So, I'd probably give him a game on Thursday, John, for Graz, because we said that anyway, didn't we? But I'm just hoping Sells can get his confidence back soon because at the minute he just looks shot a bit. Can I just ask, I know we glossed over it, but did you think there was anything in that penalty, Lee, second half?
The handball?
Yeah.
Absolute stonewall penalty.
Because people
he heads the ball onto it, doesn't he?
Because other fans are saying on Twitter it's come off his shoulder and then gone onto his arm, so it shouldn't be.
I just don't think there's enough though. His arm's not in a natural position. I just don't think there's enough of that little loophole in the law is there for, when it's completely accidental, when it's completely, you've edited it and your arm's not in a natural position. If it's in a natural position, it does that, fine. But I just don't think, if your arm's up there, like we always say, and I don't want to keep banging on about it because it sounds like it's agenda-driven. If that's the other way around, they check it again. just got brushed over with us. It's just, I'm telling you now, there's 6 teams in this league that get that given as a penalty.
Yeah, I'm
his arm is too high. His arm is it's the slightest flick off another body part. It's not a complete contact off another body part. It's the slightest flick. Again, what I would say is no one knows what handball law stipulates these days, because it's just gone to dogs with it. It's just, there's just too many grey areas with it. But if that's not we're not going to get a penalty for handball all season if that's not handball. I just think it's valid. There's just not enough of a contact from another body part for me. It's just the very slightest flick, and even from one or two angles, it just looks like he handballs it. So, it's a penalty for me.
See, for me, if that's Old Trafford for Man Utd, they get that 100 times out of 100. 100%. And you know, someone replied to me on Twitter saying, well, then it would be overturned. Not in a million years, in my opinion.
No.
If that's at Old Trafford for them and it's 2-2 and they're chasing the game, it was 2-1 at the time, wasn't it? Not in a million years.
I think if it gets given from the referee, it doesn't get overturned, does it?
No. The issue I have as well, just going back to the point about handball, no one knowing what it is. That's more of a handball than the one we got against Porto, I think. The one against Porto, I thought was harsh, to be honest.
I mean, that's the positive about you. At least with UEFA's laws is that it's a hand they give it, don't they? So at least you've got, I know some are ridiculous because you basically, players are flicking the ball up and it's hitting someone's hand. They can't do it bad, but they give it a UEFA. But I guess the caveat to that is at least you kind of know where you stand. Whereas in England, like you just said, Lee, there's this grey area.
Yeah.
I know, like fans said about the laws and that, but I think United get that every day of the week, in my opinion. But that's me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just before we do some slept on it thoughts, just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Trent Side Threads. You can see it in the bottom left corner if you're watching on YouTube, but it's trentsidethreads.co.uk. Get 10% off using our code RSOT, RSOTT. I am modelling an All Rhino with Ribena t-shirt, so you can get them. There's loads of designs on there, so do check them out. If you can, use our code RSOT.
A couple of new ones as well yesterday.
Couple of new ones. There we go. Yeah. Well, we'll get on it. But there we go. We're going to get some slept on it thoughts. And Christian, if you're listening, I've got yours ready.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
Do get bemoaned at for missing you guys, because you put it in WhatsApp and I just completely forget. So Christian has wrote, big step in the right direction. Shame we couldn't hold on, but a marked improvement on last week with a lot of grit and guts on display. If United put that performance in against the teams around us, they comfortably beat them. Something for those worried about our current position to consider. Williams, superb, delighted for Savona, and great to see Morgan Gibbs-White back to his usual self. On a negative, we need to have a serious conversation about Sells' place in the team, as without Murillo's heroics, we are having a very, very different conversation right now. Just to get onto your slept on it thoughts, though, from X, David Jones would have taken a point beforehand, played well, but we were crying out for some fresh legs in the last 20. Would have loved to see Hutchinson given some time. Very poor officiating cost us. Tom Luton, the second half was a vast improvement from the first half. Morgan White must have had a rocket from Dyche at half time. Frustrating again with the levels of incompetence from the official, whom at best as guessed regarding the ball going out of play for their first, but again got to defend better. Premier Elliott, much better performance, particularly in the second half. Think we are ready to turn around after having a marginal points deduction in the dugout for 39 days. Today's fact is the iconic green code at the start of the Matrix movie is made from sushi recipes, and I absolutely love that because I love the film Matrix. Carl Booth would have taken a point before a ball was kicked, but left extremely frustrated with the result and felt we deserved more, and we would have had if not for the horrendous officiating. Second half was much more like us, and there's a positive. Many changes for Europa League, please. Gary Bowler, defensively, we're just terrible. Not going to turn this around with set-piece defending like that. Worry after a defensive manager has had a week with them. Mark Baker, I'll take the point. We looked threatening that second half. My only complaints are that Sells is still playing with concrete boots on, too many switching off on corners, and Odoi offers little to nothing with the ball. Gaz Thomas, mixed feelings for me. Thought the shout for handball against them was a pen when we were 2-1 up. Could have killed the game off, but overall that performance we were pulling off last season, still concerned. 4 points adrift, must beat Leeds Sunday. Come on, you Reds. James Stick Gamer, my initial thoughts are currently a point is a point. We fought back from a dodgy ref call, and officiating throughout the game was questionable. Savona was class. Hope Louise is okay, but we need to focus on defending set pieces. Capanosity, 4 soft goals conceded in 2 games oddly gives me hope these issues can be addressed. We aren't giving up clear chances, a good base to work from. Palace had 7 points after 10 games last season. We will have to plan without Luiz. He's made more of soggy digestives. Bennett would have gladly taken a point before the game. Credit to Dyche to see some signs of improvement in different areas, but for goodness sake, we need to get back to learning how to defend set pieces. Subs could have been made a bit earlier. Martin Fretwell, good point, very encouraging performance. And last of all, Andrew Clark-McCord, positive point, much better performance all around. Nico's so consistent. Morgan's White looks to be getting his swagger back, and Jesus looks the business up front. Set play, defending, attacking needs to improve onwards and upwards. You Reds. Player performances, guys. Lee, I'm going to give you first of all Callum Hudson-Odoi, because you are the Callum Hudson-Odoi members club man. I thought he was actually quite good, and I think sometimes he needs to be a bit more selfish yesterday, personally. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he was unlucky not to score, actually. I do. I thought he was good. He was okay yesterday. I know I've just bashed him for his inability to defend the equalising goal. But I actually thought the thing I like about Hudson-Odoi, and I think why he's kind of a mandatory requirement in this team, is his defensive duties is pretty good. He seems to link up well with Williams quite well on that left-hand side. He is a little bit one-dimensional going forward, but I do feel a little bit sorry for him because everyone knows what he's all about going forward, and every team we seem to play, every time he's got any sort of space, he's got kind of 2 or 3 men around him. So I did think he was a lot better yesterday in an attacking sense. Like I say, probably unlucky not to score. I think there was the chance he just fizzed wide. There was a couple of chances in the first half when it opened up for him in a similar fashion through the centre of the pitch. And I think he's just got to pull the trigger a little bit more often. But the same can be said for a lot of players in this team. So, yeah, definitely something to work from with him. But for me, I think Hudson-Odoi is still one of the first names on the team sheet. I don't know if that's a controversial statement, but I think it is, personally. Certainly in the Premier League.
Can I just add, but I think his final product's got to be far better than what it is. And numerous examples yesterday. The one where he should have, it was an easy slip in for Jesus in the first half. He played it miles over, hit it, sent Jesus wide. I think there was, from the same move, there was then a pass on to Anderson. He got it wrong. The shot where he whipped wide, he should hit the target there. I'm sorry. We said this about Gibbs White against Chelsea. He's centre of the goal. They backed off him, and it was like the Red Sea part. And he hit it well, give him his due, as did Gibbs White, but he's got to hit the target there for me. And his numbers, I do really like Hudson-Odoi. Like Lee said, he's great on the ball, and he doesn't lose the ball much, similar to Jack Grealish in that sense. But his numbers have got to be improved. I think it's this season and last, I think he's played about 40-odd games, and it's 8 goal contributions. So you're looking at 1 in 5. It's not the best, let's be honest.
I think, just to counter that a little bit, though, I think that is the reason he plays for us and the reason he costs £3 million. I think there is an issue. There's an issue in that sense, definitely, with the numbers he produces. But that's not kind of saying that he shouldn't be doing more, because I think you're right what you say. For a player of his ability, he should be getting more goals and assists.
Think back to that first season when he signed for us, when he was scoring goals regularly. One time, I'm just having a quick look.
He got 8 goals last season. I think he got 8. Yeah,
that first season he scored 8 goals. For a side that finished 17th, so he got 9 goal contributions in 29 that first season. And last season, when we was better, only 7. This season so far, 1. It's not, I do really like Hudson-Odoi, and to be fair, we've not, we haven't seen enough from any of the other wingers. I mean, God, Hutchinson hasn't even had a chance, but we've not really seen enough from the other wingers as well. Because as well, that is a point, what Lee makes very well, is that defensively, you need that in this side. That's probably why he is in. But just times yesterday, like the end of that first half, that was such a simple pass to Jesus, and he sent him so wide. And again, I agree with one thing. I do agree with Lee is Gibbs White's the same. When we're driving at goal, we get to a point where they don't know whether to shoot or pass, and they get caught in 2 minds for a split second, and then the chance either goes, or then we make a pass like we did, or the shot gets blocked, or we make a pass like we did, and it gets overhit. And that's where you've got to, make that decision.
Yeah, decision making is a bit.
Is that moment, yeah. And we said it in the group chat yesterday. final third, decision-making first half, it just wasn't good enough.
It's funny, I would say it comes with confidence, but Morgan Gibbs-White's always lacked pulling the trigger, doesn't he? But I think what I did like yesterday, and it's something I noticed because it happened 3 times, and we've just mentioned it with Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's coming in off the wing to occupy the number 10 position, and he got on the ball 3 times. And like we said, he should have done better with each of those opportunities. But it's definitely something I think that Dyche definitely has worked on, and is something that I think will come into play a little bit more. So something to keep an eye on, and hopefully Callum will bag one, and it will get him going. Because we need it. We need something going. Reece, I'm going to give you your man of the match in Nicola Savona. What impressed you about him?
I think what I've seen so far of Savona, you're kind of looking at him and seeing him as, because of his build as well, and obviously that Italian kind of heritage, isn't it? Always been good defenders, Italy. That he looked more to me as a right centre back, obviously as a free. You know, he's been signed for us as a fullback, which he has played at times for Juventus. But I actually thought yesterday was probably the first game I looked at him and thought, yeah, I can see a fullback in there, because I thought he got up and down really well. I think that was that's something I mentioned about Zinchenko, he just can't do that. Whereas Savona did that yesterday. There was one in the first half where he made an absolutely superb run. Great move from us. He got on the end of it, and his touch just let him down. He got into such a good area and he over-touched it, and then De Ligt come across and he kind of pooed himself a little bit, and this is what I mean, aimlessly, half-heartedly crossed it, and De Ligt deflected it into the arms of Lammers, isn't it? United's goalkeeper. But yeah, I thought he just grew in confidence. And what I like as well is he's got Milenkovic that side as well to kind of coach him at times, because you see at times, and you've seen this last season with Vine as well, Milenkovic is always talking and sometimes shouting. And I'm just hoping he can kind of learn the defensive side of his game, because he actually did at times as well show that turn of pace going forward. And then obviously to get himself in there for the goal, brilliant. So what I've kind of seen yesterday is, I'm hoping, and I might be wrong here, is that the more kind of he plays, and this is because he is a young player, and it's something I've said that young players need consistent game time, is the more he plays, the more he improves. And I'm hoping that is the case, because at the minute we haven't got any other fullbacks, haven't we?
I know.
So it's good to see yesterday. Definitely his best game for me in a Forest shirt, and I would give him the man of the match. And I said this on Twitter, is that I always, in the man of the match, because there's some players who I kind of expect it from now, like your Nico Williams, you know what you're going to get from him. When Murillo's at top of his game, you know what you're going to get from him. Whereas Savona, I like to kind of give players a man of the match who I've not seen that level of performance from yet. And yesterday, that's why I went for him for man of the match, because I thought that was his best Forest game for me, and obviously getting a goal as well.
Lee, did you want to come in on that? I saw you.
I was just going to say, the one thing I like about Savona is he's very composed in possession, I find. I don't know if that's an Italian trait as well, but I think he does scare me a little bit when he's got pace up against him defensively, but I think going the other way, I think when he gets the ball, he's happy to kind of take a touch and take a few more risks than maybe other fullbacks might do. So I think that's I'd probably agree with Reece. I think he probably was man of the match yesterday, to be honest, certainly from a Forest perspective.
I think last point on him as well, what would have helped him out yesterday would have been United's formation, is that they play with wing backs and they're not playing with an out-and-out winger. So he would have been against Dallo, who's average in my opinion. I mean, Dorgu, didn't really do anything. Now, if they're playing Kuna wide left, it's obviously a different ball game, as much as he just chucked himself on the floor yesterday. But that's a different discussion. But I do think that helped him, that he was against a kind of a left wing back rather than an out-and-out left winger. But I actually thought he did okay with Semenyo last week, to be honest. He obviously didn't contribute anything, did he, Semenyo, in goals or assist sense? Yeah.
I do think as well with that formation Man U play, because they've got a box midfield in terms of Cunha and Buemo, Casemiro and Fernandes. I do think, like, for a fullback, it's quite difficult to know, are you with the wing back or are you coming inside? And I thought Murillo was really good at going in with Buemo, and I think then it was identified that them two players in the number 10 positions were being marked by our centre halves, and they did well. I thought.
That's why I was surprised that we didn't play with a 6 yesterday, because too many times they got shots away on the edge of our box. Open.
Yeah, they did.
Far too many times. That's where I think when you against 2 number 10s, it is an idea to have a 6 in there just to give you that protection. Because, like you said, Adam, does the fullback go with them? Milenkovic, we know, doesn't step out of defence because he knows he's going to get done for pace if they get him behind him, especially by the likes of Kuna. Yeah, there was just too many times yesterday where it come on the edge of our box and they could have got shot off. Thankfully, a lot of the time actually come to Casemiro. But I think he had one, didn't he, where it got deflected over by Murillo and he was hard. It was in your mouth. Obviously,
yeah, it was.
Bruno Fernandes had that P roller, but you can't allow Bruno Fernandes the time on the edge of the box because if he does get a chance on the edge of the box, he'll ping them in the corners.
Yeah. Lee, I'm going to give you Igor Jesus. I think he's quietly becoming a bit of a fan favourite, personally.
Yeah, very good. Still don't really know what sort of centre forward he is. I just know he's a very good one. Do I sense he's going to be the sort of centre forward that maybe offers more than, like Wood last season, where is basically his USP was sticking the ball in the net? I think Jesus brings more to the team. I think he probably suits certain games better than Wood. Yeah, I think he was disappointed to come off yesterday. I think he fancied a goal, but obviously needs must and all this, that and the other with the run of games coming up. So, yeah, I like him. I think he's good. I think he's got the ability to mix it up and win headers as well. You don't look at him and think he's that sort of centre forward, but he is. Just a real workhorse. I just like how hard he works. He's always got his head up. He's always looking for the ball, happy to drop deep and get it as well. Just a really good signing for the money we paid for him. I think there's, obviously I didn't come on last week on the podcast, but one defeat and all of a sudden your recruitment's terrible. Igor Jesus is a player who basically says that our recruitment maybe isn't terrible. I think, if we end up going down, then obviously there might be a question to be asked about our recruitment as a whole. But until that point, then it's weird because the same sort of fans who are saying the recruitment's terrible are demanding patience because we've got loads of new players. So which is it? But yeah, I think Jesus is a nod to the recruitment team because, there is some gems to be had in Brazil. Obviously, we've had Nathan on the podcast before and he could probably tell us 5 or 6 more that we could sign in the same bracket. So yeah, it's certainly a decent market to be looking at. And hopefully he can just add a few more Premier League goals to his game because obviously we've seen in the Europa League that he's capable of getting them. But yeah, definitely a positive signing, I think, Jesus.
I think he's obviously a box striker because all of his goals, I think, they've come inside the box. Tapping at Betty's header, tapping at Swansea.
2 tap-ins at Swansea.
Yeah, 2 tap. I did feel for him yesterday because he worked his nuts off. And like I said, the Hudson-Odoi should have slipped him in first half. And the one where Savona actually overdid the touch, if he'd have got that touch right, if he'd have just whipped it across, Jesus was there to tap it in. He was running in to tap it in. So
I think
nice if he can get off the mark in the Prem.
I think what I like about him is he makes runs in. He wants to make runs in behind and stretch teams, and that's something we've not had for a long time. He just needs that goal in the Premier League, I think, to get him off the mark. And
we've got to get people closer to him as well. Like there was times yesterday when he was wrestling with De Ligt, and even if he'd have won it, because a lot of the times De Ligt did win it, there was nobody around him.
Yeah,
but we've got to get people close to him.
Yeah, well, this is another issue with our football team, and I address this to all of them: is if he does win it and lays the ball off, no one's capable of scoring a goal from outside the box apart from Hudson-Odoi, and he's off the boil at the moment. But we'll continue anyway. But Reece, we've got to include Ryan Yates because I actually thought, like we said, he played well, and our pod gets slander for criticising him a lot, and that's just my personal opinion on him as a footballer. But I thought he was brilliant. I actually thought he was good second half and did well. The cross, like you said, was measured and showed a bit of composure for once.
Yeah, well, I'll answer the question because, if we obviously had agendas, etc., we would just avoid it completely, but we don't. And that's, he's obviously match-worn shirt in background for someone on this pod. So we've spent a lot of money on that for the Championship days. But yeah, I think, like I said earlier, it's clear probably at the minute that after Louise, he's now third choice centre mid. Maybe Dyche sees Sangare as an out-and-out 6 and don't want to play him in a 2. That's something I've mentioned before. Dominguez again, with the pre-season, with no pre-season and coming back from injury, we don't kind of know how fit he is. I mean, that just shows how a ridiculous a decision it was, and sticking him in against Sunderland from the cold, wasn't it? I mean, come on. But first off, There was one where Anderson absolutely went nuts at him for, where he played him a pass and it was the easiest thing to turn. And he should have just turned and played and been more proactive. And then we started going long and I thought, oh, here we go. But second half, I thought he led by example. You know, and Dyche clearly kicked him up the backside at half time and probably used that, you know, goal against us, you know, to channel some energy. And I actually thought second half, he led by example. The crosses, we said earlier, just great to see a player put his foot on the ball, measure across, and we score from it. And then there was one where somebody gave it away as well, and they played a really good pass, and it would have got them in, and he cut it out superbly.
Yeah.
I can't remember who that was from. Somebody gave it away. So, yeah, he played really well second half, so that's brilliant to see because, like I say, it benefits Nottingham Forest. I think he's probably going to play against Leeds. I'd be very surprised now if he doesn't. He probably will play against Graz as well, I think, because he's not played much football and we need to rotate for Graz. I think that's clear because that Leeds game, that's a must-win, non-negotiable. Yeah, I don't want any argument from anybody saying, oh, yeah, if we get a point, it's not the end of the world. We have to beat Leeds at home. So, yeah, I think he will play that. And, you know, if he's obviously what fans say is his strength, then you're probably going to need that against Leeds, hard work and, you know, winning that midfield battle. So, I thought he played well yesterday, which is good. Because, like Lee said, it is hard coming in from the cold after, he's not played much this season. What was it, 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, he's having to come on and get himself ready. You know, so, I'm just... Yeah, the assist. Like I said, I'm just so pleased that someone's actually shown some composure for once and actually put a good cross on a sixpence for somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit concerned, and this is going to sound like a dig, but I just think Dyche has managed better technical players than Ryan Yates. And I just think we've got them in abundance. Like you say, maybe he doesn't fancy Sangare in a 2 and he wants to stick with the 4-2-3-1 as something to be continuous with. But I thought Sangare was good against Chelsea, for example, when he played. So I don't know.
I mean, just to touch on Sangare, he was stood waiting to be subbed on for ages. And I was like, what is going on here? And then the only thing he did when he come on, he's got megged. I was like, that sums it up, that does.
Yeah,
that just sums that up. I mean, look. Oh, God, we've had this conversation time of day. People make it personal, don't you, with Yates? If you don't want him in a team, it's all of a sudden you're a hater and you're this and you're that. People in football, it's a game of opinions. You might just prefer other players. Like, because Yates, to be fair, his game is being a niggler. Like, and I just don't like niggly footballers, but I know there's a place and time for it. Like yesterday, I actually quite enjoyed him winding Bruno Fernandes up. And his actual best games for Forest are usually against United. His best game last season, if I remember correctly, was against United at home because you know if United are behind, you can wind them up so easy. Same with Newcastle with Bruno Guimaraes. It's just when they obviously get ahead, then that's when you're kind of struggling a bit. But you know, like I said, that might be the reason that Dyche might think I'd rather play 3 if Sangare's playing. Hence why I mentioned we probably could have done with an out-and-out 6 yesterday. And Dominguez just probably isn't at that fitness level. So he's next in line at the minute. And like I said, I'd be amazed if he don't play against Leeds now because Luiz is, I think, clearly going to be injured. And to be honest, I think he probably might play against Graz as well, actually.
Question for you, Lee Clark, from Tom Newton. Would you take Anderson to Graz? Personally, I wouldn't, due to the amount of games he's played last season. First time he's played over 30 Euros for the under-21s and this season. What's your thoughts on that? And obviously the whole overall thing of a rotation for that game, because like Reece just reiterated, Leeds is probably a bigger game, and which is a shame to say at this point in the season after 10 games. I think we need to remember as well, we've had 3 managers in 10 games of Premier League football, which is absolutely bonkers, mind-blowing, I'm not going to swear, back crap crazy.
The question, would I take him? Well, I'd definitely take him. I don't think I'd leave him out of the squad completely. I think even if a player needs a rest in terms of starting a game, I think if it goes sour, you need your big players to come on. I would make changes. I think Leeds is, you only need eyes in your head to know that the Leeds game is the bigger game of the 2. Just to touch on, and I don't want to feel like I'm saying this to kind of go against the grain and be controversial. I don't actually think Yates was brilliant yesterday. I can't believe I'm saying that because he registered the assist, which he deserves credit for. I just don't think that was a brilliant performance. I think I've seen him play better, is what I'm saying. I think he did his job quite well in the second half. And obviously he got the assist, so he'll get praise for that, which he rightly deserves because it was a great delivery. But I think I've seen Yates play better. I think it was a performance of a player that has not played for a while. So what I would say, and to kick it on and be a bit more positive about it, is I would probably play him in the next 2 games because we know what he is capable of. But much like a lot of the other fringe players, he just needs minutes. So I think if he is the man that Dyche sees as the third choice after, when one of Louise or Anderson drops out, then he's got to stick with him and give him a run rather than keep, trying Sangare, trying Dominguez. If he's his man, he needs to play him in the next 2 games. So, yeah, I think changes will come. It's a difficult one with Anderson because he has played a lot of football, but he's a young lad, isn't he? So he won't want to come out. But yeah, definitely take him. I wouldn't leave him. He's been a key part in getting us to this competition. So I'd definitely take him on the journey. And, like I say, if it goes south, then you've got a player like that to bring off the bench. So yeah, probably wouldn't start him.
You can take your whole squad, can't you, on the bench?
Yeah, absolutely. So you may as well take him. But yeah, it's probably a fair point. Would I start him? Maybe not. It's tricky though, isn't it? Because we probably need a win in the Europa League as well. We don't really want to be slipping any further down that table either. So,
well, I think winning breeds.
I think we're going to have to make some changes. We're going to have to make some changes. It's why we spent the money on the squad, isn't it? So we'll have to make the changes. Will Anderson be one of them? I wouldn't be surprised if Dyche started him. To be fair,
just to add as well. Go on, you go first, Adam.
I mean, is there anyone that you'd particularly like to see given a go on Thursday night? For both of you anyway, because I know, Callum Hudson-Odoi is, if we're going to play striker, he's probably the shoe-in because Igor Jesus is suspended and Taiwo is not part of the squad and Dyche already ruled Wood out potentially for Leeds even. So Callum Hudson-Odoi we will hopefully see, unless Dyche decides to play a false 9 or something, which I can't see him doing personally. So is there anyone else like you'd personally like to see? I know, Reece, you're going to mention that Hutchinson's been an absolute waste in a car crash of a decision from Nuno not to include him for Bolly. So, but
yeah, well, I mean, God, I'll start from the top. Firstly, on like Lee's point with, about he didn't think Yates was excellent. I do agree with that because we do get bogged down in football of someone's either absolutely crap or absolutely amazing. Like Savona was my man of the match yesterday and he was good. Yates was good yesterday. But then we get to this. I'm not going to say Savona was like, it was absolutely superb. It's a 10 out of 10 performance. Probably an 8 out of 10. Good, solid performance. That's what you need in the Premier League. In terms of Anderson Tom's question, he's going to travel. With respect, they're not travelling on Wizz Air, are they, like myself? It's not as if they're flying to Kazakhstan as well. I think Austria's 2-hour flight. And if you're going to leave players at home at that ilk, I wouldn't play Anderson, but he has to be on the bench. You do their team talk for him. We did that with Midtjylland when, we kind of, Sunderland, when we rotated it round. You just do team talk for them. Look, these lads are rotating around. They think they can basically leave their best players home. You have to have them on the bench. At the least, rotate by all means, not a problem with that, but have them on the bench. We saw Arnie Slot do it midweek. What happened? They got absolutely trounced by Palace at home 3-0 because they had a whole load of kids on the bench. So he'll travel, he'll be on the bench, in my opinion, and get into the squad. Yeah, it needs rotation because, it's a shame we're in this situation where the league's taking priority over the Europa League at this stage, but that Leeds game is, as I said earlier, non-negotiable, have to win that game, and we need his best team. So I would be looking at, obviously, swapping the goalkeeper, because, to be honest, we're not sure about his confidence at the minute. Gives John a chance to impress. The back four, Morato would come in for me, without a doubt. The fullbacks are an issue because we can't really rotate him. You could argue Abbott could even come in. I mean, some would argue Willy Bolly could come in, but whenever he has come in, he's looked absolutely rusty as hell. So I'm not too sure about that. Sangare definitely comes in. Dominguez definitely plays. I agree with Lee. You're probably getting Yates now up to speed because he's probably going to be the man for the next few games at the least. So he might play. McAtee has to play. Callum Hudson-Odoi has to play. Again, that's non-negotiable because Taro's not in the squad. Wood's injured. Jesus is suspended. Yeah, so it needs some rotation. You're probably going to have 6, 7 rotating and a core of a team, really. And to be honest, I know I'm saying they're heavy rotation, but just look at the value of some of them players who are coming in. McAtee, 25 million. Callum Hudson-Odoi, 25 million. Sangare, 30 million. Just as some example, their squad isn't even worth one of their players, I'd imagine, Sturm Graz. They sold the right back in the summer to Derby. I think they got 1.5 million for him. Starting right back. That they're, with respect, they're a championship level side. So Forest should be able to make rotation there and go on and give a performance, as we did first half at Swansea when we looked a class above before we obviously capitulated, which I hope doesn't happen. And I'm sure wouldn't happen under Sean Dyche. So that's what I kind of expect on Thursday. And, I'm still expecting a result Thursday, mate, without a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, if we can rotate all these players. I mean, the Hutchinson decision, somebody replied to me on Twitter about the squad cost thing. If that is the case, we shouldn't even be signing him, because I just find that frankly ridiculous that we're making a record signing we can't put in the Europa League squad. I just find that absolutely absurd. That transfer, I said it in the summer, I just find it strange from the off because the numbers didn't match up the price tag. And we can say there's English tax on there, fine. But he's not even getting a kick in the Prem. And I had fans as well in the summer saying, yeah, he's not in the Europa League squad, so he'll play in the Prem. Well, if he's not in the Europa League squad, then the manager at the time clearly didn't fancy. Why would he not fancy him for the Europa League, but play him in the Prem? There's just no thinking to that at all. And he's not even getting minutes in the Prem now. And at this stage, sorry for stuttering, Jesus. At this stage, he must be thinking, I'm going on loan in January because I'm not playing.
Yeah,
he's not playing at all. Like yesterday, I know we'll all agree, Odoi was shattered, and by the end, the last 10 minutes, he was a liability.
His decision making was
kept
abysmal,
getting the
wasn't
ball,
it?
and he kept knocking him off the ball, and he needed to come off, and he still can't get on the pitch. So I just find that transfer, with obviously the agents involved in that, strange, very, very strange deal, that, because he cannot even get a kick at all. And because he come on at Bournemouth and did okay, and then it obviously gets to this weekend when we've had a full week's training with Sean Dyche, and he deemed him not good enough to even get 10 minutes yesterday.
So that's sitting around on sofas. Just before we finish then, Reece, what's your score prediction for Thursday?
Look, like I said, the players, the quality, we're bringing in Premier League players here. I'm speaking about players rotating in who would all say could play in the Premier League. So I'm still expecting Forest to go there and win, in my opinion, because I'm not taking Sturm Graz like it's going to be hard, because it'll be a good atmosphere, I imagine, in Austria, because we all know, obviously, out in Europe, they have all the ultras section, etc. But I'm expecting Forest to win, and I'm going to go for 2-1 to Forest. And and if we was to lose, even with a rotated side, I'd actually say that's a terrible result, personally. Yeah. And like you say, Adam, you hit it spot on. Winning breeds confidence, and we're going to need, even if some of these aren't starters, we're going to need them in the squad this season, and we need confidence running throughout the squad. And a win on Thursday with a rotated team brings us nicely into Sunday with Leeds, where we need to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, what's your prediction for Thursday night? Well, Thursday, it's not even Thursday night. It's like 5:45 kickoff for the UK.
Thursday evening over there.
Yeah, Thursday
6:45.
The twilight slot. I don't know.
At least we haven't got a home game like Villa have at 5:45. They've got Tel Aviv at home at 5:45.
That's awful. That's a nightmare for people from work.
Spaghetti Junction as well, I'm thinking, with their grounders.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet in any game that we play at the moment.
We kept one against Porto.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Come on, Lee, turn that frown upside down.
What about pre-season against
the issue we've got, though, is if we make a rotate, we look disjointed enough with our proper team at the minute. So if you're making changes, I don't know. I'm glad I'm not Dyche having to make the decision, to be honest. I've got a sneaky feeling it might be a draw. I think it might be 1-1. But I do agree with Reece. I think if we don't go there and win, I think it's probably a bad result, because I've just had a quick look at their squad. I don't think I've even through years of playing Football Manager, I've not heard of a single one of their players. So, yeah, I think it's a game that we should be looking to win. But if we make so many changes, I'm not sure we will. But obviously, it's a case of needs must. I think it might be 1-1. That's about as positive I can be with it, to be honest. I don't know. I just, like you say, we did beat Porto, I suppose, but it was 2 penalties. So, yeah, and I know penalties count before anyone starts in the comments.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying with the open play stuff. I think yesterday should give us some confidence. But, yeah, it remains to be seen how many of those players we'll see on Thursday. So, listen, I hope we win. Of course I do. But, like I say, I've got a sneaky feeling it'll still be a tough place to go. And I think they've started quite well in the Europa League, haven't they?
No.
Yeah.
Have they not?
No, so they've lost to Midtjylland and lost to Celtic. This is what I mean.
Midtjylland,
I know Midtjylland are top at the minute of Europa League, so someone's probably going to come from me in the comments, mate. But they're crap, mate. They won't be at the latter stages of the tournament, and people can clip that up as much as they want, right? And they beat Graz 2-0. We all thought we should have beat Midtjylland, right? They then beat Rangers, who were an absolute mess under Russell Martin. They literally... The fans travelled out there to basically abuse him for 90 minutes, and then they've lost to Celtic, right? Who were at the time under Brendan Rodgers, who a week later has basically resigned and is at war with the board, and they couldn't even beat Celtic in that moment. So,
were they in front at half time against Celtic? There, see,
yeah,
and they came from behind. So yeah, I suppose there is. It's a game we should win, but I think it might be 1-0.
And that's not being arrogant or anything, but you just look at, like I just said, look at the squad values. We'll have play. We'll probably have Dominguez, who we paid 10 million for. I bet he's probably worth more than their squad. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Even with a rotated side, Forest will be favourites Thursday night, and I'm going into that game thinking, I fancy beating these, because I think Graz, Malmo, and Utrecht are all in the bottom 6, maybe the Europa League, the next 3 games. So
opportunity there to keep
results. Because this is what we've got this squad for. We all said at the start of the season, to compete on all fronts, and I'm not going to go to Graz thinking, oh, Jesus, I think these might turn us over here. But, we'll see.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go positive. I think I'm going to go a bit outlandish, and I think we'll win 3-0. And then we'll just start the car rolling. Like, I don't care. Why not? Like, honestly, you've just said how one of our players might be worth the whole 3-0. We're going to beat him 3-0. Like, we probably won't, but I'm going to go for 3-0 and be positive. So there we go. There we have it. And it wouldn't be a Red Side of the Trent podcast without a Football Manager reference in there. Well done, Lee Clark. There's some bonus points for you.
Anybody who's watching, if you fancy watching Sturm Graz today, they play at 4:00 away to Rapid Vienna.
Well, there we go.
Anyone who's going to do that needs to get a life.
We've even got a day.
There's more to life than watching Sturm Graz at 4:00 on a Sunday afternoon.
We've even got a day extra's rest on them. And I mean, we said that about Midtjylland, and we still messed that up royally.
That's a disgrace of a result.
But anyway, anyone that is travelling out there with Reece and Christian, enjoy. Hope you all have a fantastic trip. Obviously, following the Reds in Europe. Hopefully, we'll see. Well, we'll see you again in the week for a preview of a Sturm Graz fan that's from the UK. I mean, I think he must be the one and only, with him and his lads. So looking forward to speaking to them. And until next time, come on, you Reds.